Okay, and we're on YouTube.
You guys have sirens yet?
Nothing yet.
Oh, I see. It's only 11:59.
I forgot to get the PowerPoint screen up there.
Being early shouldn't feel so awkward, but it does to me.
For what it's worth, I was driving through Linworth the other day, right by their railroad tracks that go through Linworth. The sirens are right there. They went off, and I about crashed my Jeep. They were so stinking loud.
I'm always just grateful that the dogs don't howl because they bark at everything else. Why not this? But lucky.
Maybe the focus is on the recycling.
We have some huskies a few doors down from us that like to sing their song.
Well, you haven't lived until you've heard a pug howl.
Mm.
I didn't even know they did.
Second one always seems so much longer. And we should be good to go.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, fiscal officer, you please call the roll.
Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword, Trustee Jessberger,
Here,
Here.
here.
Administrator Huffman,
Here.
the Chief of Fire,
Here.
Chief of Police. He's there. He's not unmuted.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm here.
Superintendent of Public Works.
Here.
Okay.
Our next meeting will be April the 21st at 12 noon. Same time, same channel. I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility.
I'll second.
Okay. Trustee Sword, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve payroll.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sira.
Yes.
Yes.
And a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th, 2021.
Second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sira.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, next is a motion to authorize Trustee Zero to apply to the Tree City USA program on behalf of Clinton Township.
I'll second.
So we've talked about this briefly for a couple of meetings in a row. I have some resolutions to bring before the board, but all of those don't matter if we're not going to authorize this one. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions or concerns or conversation before we proceed on the vote for the motion.
Nope.
We're
ready for the roll.
And if you ever want me to slow the roll call down, let me know, but I just read all three of your names. So Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sira.
Yes. So Deb and I counted motions before the meeting, so we're going to make a motion to adopt what will be resolution number 21-04-006, which is a resolution proclaiming the last Friday in April as Arbor Day in Clinton Township and recognizing and designating the Sustainability Committee as the Township Tree Commission. I'm not going to read the resolution in its entirety, but I'll just paraphrase to say that, of course, it's doing two things. It would be Arbor Day every year. And these are the resolutions that are required as part of our application process for the township to have a tree board or a tree commission. Since we already had the sustainability team, it seemed to make sense to name that body, especially since our public works superintendent is on it as well. Important to remember that anything the tree commission does is simply a recommendation to the board of trustees. So that still, this absolute decision making would still lie there. We need a second still, huh?
I'll second.
Great.
Other discussion, questions? Ready for
Okay.
the roll?
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sira.
Yes.
Yes. The next is a motion to adopt what will be resolution number 21-04-007. Interestingly enough. And this one is establishing the conditions of tree maintenance and planting for Clinton Township.
I'll second.
Now, who would be doing the tree maintenance? Would that be our Public Works Department?
Yeah, it would, this is written so that things will function pretty much like they do now. There's a lot of, recommendations to get things kind of in shape with what the tree commission will eventually do, like creating a inventory of our public trees. Important to just put out there for everyone that we're talking about public trees here. This doesn't impact anyone's private property in any way. So trees that are already in easements, trees that are already on grounds owned by the township, et cetera. To answer your question specifically, tree care in here is defined as a public works issue unless size or other conditions dictate hiring a certified arborist, which is kind of our current practice. So Corey will get to make that call based on his professional judgment of what needs to happen. It does ask that we apply the pruning standards that the American National Society recommends, to just make good cuts and not stubs and stuff, and that stuff that I can make sure Corey has a copy of. But talks about when we might remove a tree or when, and our overall desire to want to keep them and maintain them. And eventually, I imagine that sustainability and the tree commission will start having conversations about a tree planting plan so that we can maybe start increasing some of our street tree canopy. Thanks. What other questions do you have?
That's all from me.
Okay, I think we're ready for the roll.
All right, trustee Sword, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
The next is a motion to adopt the Clinton Township approved trees list, which I emailed to everyone. It is, it was developed by the state forester that approves the program. It's very inclusive of a lot of species, but what it does do is designate them by size and groupings that are appropriate for different areas and plantings. Is there a second on that one?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Deb.
Trustee Sword, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes. And finally, the last tree city related motion is a motion to authorize the fiscal officer to create a blanket certificate for tree planting and maintenance in an amount up to $8,250 from line item 1,610,599.
I'll second.
Now, is that the $2 per resident?
Yeah, and it's a little bit more than that just to make sure that we have the right amount of residents in there, but. And it's important to remember that that can be for both care and planting. So we're not designating that much just to plant new trees, but rather for our present maintenance, and can also use that line item.
I'm just curious, is this forecasted to be every year we spend this, or this amount to just get the program going?
I think it is an annual amount if we decide to continue, but I didn't want to write this that way until the board has an opportunity to decide for next year if we want to continue with the program.
Okay.
Assuming our application's accepted.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. I think we're ready for the roll.
Trustee Sword, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Okay, just a plea to my colleagues that I'll leave these documents in our box by the end of today. I'm going to need signed copies in order to apply. So if we can all get our Jane Hancock's on those, that'd be great. Our next item, number 13, is a motion to authorize department heads to incur debts up to $5,000 before needing prior board approval of a purchase order.
I'll second.
So most of you are aware, I think, that the current level is 2,500. By law, it can be up to 10,000. And we haven't adjusted that $2,500 figure in anybody's recent memory. So any further conversation? We're ready for the roll, Deb?
Trustee Sword, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
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 Next is a motion to authorize Matt Huffman to execute an agreement with Energility to audit and consult on energy usage, and for Mr. Huffman to act as agent for the board in all matters relating to the contract to be paid from Fund 1,110,310 up to $6,000.
I'll second.
So I included a little information in my email yesterday about this, and I'm sure Matt and Deb can both elaborate if they feel like it. This kind of came out of sustainability, having a company of professionals that we can get to consult with us on potential savings for the township and our energy usage, and maybe move us towards a plan towards some renewable energy sources in the future. Y'all have any questions about it?
Okay.
We're ready.
Trustee Sword, trustee Jesberger, trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I had number 15 down just as a carryover. We mentioned a couple of meetings ago that we wanted to take another look at the streetscape plan. Don't know if you two have had a chance to do that. I thought we'd just have a kind of a conversation about if we were able to pull some priorities out of there, what might they be? Are we want to move forward with that?
I would really like to see some maybe entryways into neighborhoods or street entryways into the township to kind of help separate it from Columbus, because I feel like a lot of people don't know where it starts and ends.
Mhm.
Maybe some beautification of our bigger intersections, busier intersections. I think that would be nice. I think kind of going to pick Corey's brain a little bit with his prior experience with what his previous employer had done with the Route 3 corridor and what kind of maintenance those flower baskets and things like that incur, to try and see, weigh what's practical and what's impractical.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
I would just say real quick about the entry features. Obviously, we would need to make sure that they're not blocking sight lines of intersections and blocking sidewalks and things on that line. So we'll work with either the county or the state, depending on the actual right-of-way ownership, and ensure that type of situation happens.
I did ask Mr. Huffman to start tracking down jurisdiction issues and determine like who will need to be at the table once we have a little more direction of what kind of conversations we might like to have based on some of this stuff today. I personally liked the, although I don't like the polka dots that run throughout that that plan. It's just their example of a way to make the township, visually branded. And I think once we learn more about where the direction of our own branding is heading, that I would like to see us start to take some of those visual elements. I like the crosswalk idea. I just don't like polka dot crosswalks. But within traffic guidelines out there, if we can designate our roads and neighborhoods in that way too, that was one of the ideas that I found appealing. Some of the stuff in that plan is well, some things have been accomplished, like Northern Lights, CODA kinds of issues, but other stuff is way beyond, I think, certainly what planning has, wherever planning stopped on it. So, when you talk about bike paths and moving sidewalks and the big stuff, that's a ways down the way, assuming we get all the right people to the table for these conversations. But I do think that some of these things can happen sooner, and, be good places to start. So. Anything else anybody wants to add about streetscape? Okay, well, we'll see.
I'll just add that it's good timing for us to be looking at those older plans, as City of Columbus is really revamping Cleveland Avenue. So
Yeah.
thanks to everybody for looking into it.
Yeah, there's great stuff in there that can be done easily about benches and, the trash cans, the ideas about the lamp posts and so forth. So we'll keep talking and come back to it. Okay, the next item, streetlights on Ferris.
All right, so I asked that this be put on the agenda. I recently have had a couple conversations with residents who have reached out to me who are near, or they're on Ferris and they're near Walford. And I guess right at that like stoplight area, there are a couple bus stops for Columbus City Schools. And now that they're back in session, I know that Columbus City Schools start incredibly early when they pick up kids, like 5:55, 6:05, really early in the morning where it's still dark. And the residents had complained and were expressing a lot of worry that there is a lack of lighting right there, and obviously wanting to keep our children safe. I think we would all agree that we don't have the best lighting in our township, which is unfortunate because that is a part of safety. But I wasn't sure if there were suggestions or if someone else on the board wanted to point me in the direction of who I can talk to about getting something, even if it's temporary because of the roundabout that might go there, like even if it were something temporary until that project begins. I just think that it's really important that we look at the safety of our kids. I mean, you can't walk down Ferris as it is without fear of getting hit by a car. And I would imagine it's probably the same on every street, but Ferris is one of the more traveled streets and people fly down that street all the time.
I know that the county had recently put in some poles on the north side of Ferris in the front there. Is there any way to contact the county to see if they have any plans for Cobra lights or anything like that going in there? I think
We actually found out about that on Ferris when we were starting to install the solar street lights. And one of the reasons that we put solar down Ferris is because we were told that the poles that went in were not the strength and grade that you need for overhead lighting. They're only for like data communications. So that was a real problem with planning as far as them talking about, you know. You remember that they didn't let us know that was happening, much less include us in the planning on that. So we didn't get a chance to get poles that we might have wanted.
I know it's pretty shaded in that area. There's some pretty large trees around there. Do you know exactly where these bus stops are? I remember when my oldest was being bused, his was more on Walford, where that alley leads out in between the Walford Market and the intersection. So they have the lights from the market there in the morning, but
I don't know the exact locations. I do believe it is something that I could probably look up online. I think if that is available, even if I just put in a random address, I think it tells you where the bus stop would be. But I guess I'm not quite sure exactly where to go with this because I want it obviously to be addressed. But my understanding is if there were lights put in, wouldn't that come from the county? Because Ferris is.
So we put up solar streetlights on Ferris, the township did. If the county decides to do an electrification project, it is because it's a county road, they could do that. I don't see them doing that, especially since the wrong kind of poles are up. So now they're talking about new poles and streetlights. I just don't see that coming from the county. Even when I tried to engage them about Kenny and Kinnear, which are two county roads that have poles, there was reticence on their part about starting that kind of thing. So we could have contracted with AEP to put lights up there on existing poles. But again, we'd be incurring the additional expense of doing that. Walford, we did that. Walford had poles and we pay for those AEP lights along Walford. What I'm going to recommend is maybe you and Corey put your heads together a little bit, maybe even with Matt, and let's see exactly what location we're talking about. How is the roundabout going to impact that and when? And see if Corey can't come up with some ideas for something for us temporarily or not, even if it's installing a solar light that then comes out before construction. I don't know. Let's see what we can do by way of some problem solving, but I think we can, once we nail down the exact locations, he'll probably be able to jump in here if you feel like it, Corey. Probably, I would imagine, have some suggestions for us. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah, and then whatever you guys decide, if you're gonna need to bring forward a PO or something, and then, you know, we can make it happen. But if it can be solved with a solar street light, we probably have one still of the few that are installed. So we can update you on numbers.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
cool. Okay, chat with a trustee.
I also put that one on the agenda. I know that we did this, I guess maybe in the fall last year.
Yeah.
With nice weather coming, and things getting a tad bit better with COVID, just a tad. I would like to see if the other board members, if that's something that they would be willing to do. Like I could create a sign up sheet and you just kind of pick a date and time, and just kind of going back and forth with the west side and the east side, and then having the option, if you wanted to have like one of the department heads attend, or having Matt attend, because Matt was with me last time.
Glad you put this on the agenda. I was just thinking about this the other day because I actually owe everybody one. I never got around to doing mine. The weather and all of the COVID bombardment kind of hindered that. So I am happy to do the first one. I would be happy to do it at the community garden, the Case Road Community Garden, and maybe I can use it as a dual purpose since we can't have an Earth Day event. Draw people in, they can see the new raised beds if we have them in by that time, and get some people signed up to garden if they'd like as well.
I'm delighted that we're talking about it again, and I had a great experience at the one in the fall. And I think residents really appreciate them. I'm curious how it plays out with 10 people at a gathering. Chief Rayleigh, can you clarify for me? Outdoor gatherings count, right, in that number?
They do, and we are currently, I just shared the recent orders with the board. The 10-person or less gathering is still in effect. They do have a mask requirement that's, if you can keep a 6-foot distance from everybody else, you can loosen up on the mask requirement, but there's still the 10-person rule in effect. So.
If we can start like a sign up sheet and have slots, like I'll be at the garden from this time to this time. Here are 10 slots, 20-minute blocks. That way they know when to be there. We could do it that way to keep everybody from being in one crowd at the same time. I'm happy to do it either way.
So with the slot idea, would the residents, like how would they sign up? Like would they email Matt or get a hold of someone? Like who would be in charge of that?
Probably set it up with Linda, possibly, and have them call in or make a sign up sheet online.
It works for me.
And so far, we didn't get 10 people at the last one, so I know we're trying to like be as careful as possible. And always anybody can email or call any department head or elected official here. So I guess I'm just cautioning us that we're trying to be careful, but I don't think the demand was higher than 10 people. Maybe it would grow as word gets out. And then my last chirp of advice is if we could keep this consistent, like the first Saturday of the month or the first Wednesday at 7 p.m. or something, whatever chat with the trustee thing happens, maybe keeping that going after COVID is over. And this is really an idea from other jurisdictions. we're not the only one to kind of offer this way to also be in touch with people.
I think your point about staying in touch with us all the time is well taken, and I've heard that come out of every board member's mouth at any number of occasions. But I would just add that the one on the west side, I know on the east side we didn't have a lot of folks, but it was also kind of cold and rainy that day, if I remember. The one on the west side was very well attended, and there were way more than 10 people there. So, you know, I love the idea. I think we turned Glenda loose with it a little bit in terms of how she figures out she can help with scheduling web forms or call in or email or whatever. But I think it's great. And thanks for volunteering to get started, Jess.
Thanks. So are we having Glenda just kind of take over with the sign up and a calendar for the three of us to be able to sign up for when we are able to?
Yeah, I was suggesting that you get her input on just different ways to create that registration process for residents, whether she thinks it'll work best on a web form or whether she wants to go between a web form and let people email her or call her or whatever. I mean, I think that's
Okay.
Maybe by the next meeting, we'll formalize this and can kind of say, email this person, phone call this person, and see this Facebook post. And then Glenda and I can also hyperlink in the meeting minutes.
okay. So we're down to committee or team reports. Chat's on there for number one. You might as well go.
I was trying to unmute myself. I apologize. So our numbers for our free fresh produce market continue to go / stay steady. We are trying to work out getting a farmers to families USDA dairy produce meat drop box date scheduled. We have yet to pin down what date or time frame. So stay tuned for that. For those who are not familiar with Farmers to Families events, it is a pre-boxed, like 30 to 40 pound box of dairy produce. There's usually a meat item in there, like sausage or there's like milk, butter, eggs, cheese, potatoes, apples. It could be a mix of all kinds of things. No income, no zip code, no reporting at all. This is literally anybody is welcome to come and take as many boxes as they want to help distribute within their neighborhoods. It is, it would be drive-through style as well. But we are hoping to nail down a date here very shortly, and we'll announce that and get it out to everybody. There's a new event link for our free fresh produce market that Chief Fraley posted yesterday on the fire department's webpage. I believe it's been shared on the Township's Facebook page as well. If not, we will get it shared soon. If residents hit the interested button on that event link for each date, I think there's 6 or 8 dates released in that recurring event, you will receive a reminder the day of, so you don't miss out. I know we all get busy, and with the change of seasons, it's crazy for families. So it just helps you remember, hey, this free fresh produce event is this evening. You can share it with your friends. We have no income, zip code restrictions. Anybody and everybody are welcome. It is drive-through style. All of our volunteers have proper PPE. We've opened 2 lanes now, so we're getting, gosh, I think the first market we did the 2-lane drive-through style, we had over 40 people registered in the first 30 minutes and taken care of, which is crazy. So if the line is long, do not get discouraged. We will get you through probably in less than 20 to 30 minutes. I have yet to see somebody wait that long since we have opened 2 lanes. But that's posted for anybody and everybody to share. We are always looking for volunteers. If you live in the township, if you know people that do not live in the township, if you know high school students who need community service hours, that counts as well. So send them our way. You just show up 30 minutes before the produce market starts. We'll get you logged in, temperature checked, health screened, and masked up. Start slinging produce. That's about it from me. Did I miss anything?
I think you covered it all, and I just wanted to go over once again that we have the community supplemental food program through the chat. For those 60 or over that are in need of food, please reach out to me and we can deliver a 30-pound shelf-stable box of food once a month to you. So there is an income requirement that's part of that, but it's pretty easy to get you signed up. So if you could just give me a call or give me an email, I'd love to get you in the program.
Thanks, Chief. So the Sustainability Committee settled on a drastically scaled back Earth Day plans. And in fact, really the main thing that's happening is folks can drive through and drop off prescription drugs for appropriate disposal that day. And Chief Jones, since police is mostly behind that activity, can you remind us of time frame on that?
Yeah, this is a joint initiative between police department here in DA National. It's RX Take Back. It'll be April 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We do not take liquids or hypodermic needles, syringes, but any pills and powders, or if they have patches, we will take those. We box those up and provided disposal boxes from the DEA, and then they come and collect everything that we collect and dispose of it properly.
Thank you. We look forward to a return of our usual Earth Day festivities and more next year. And thanks to Glenda, who's been working very hard on her first newsletter. So lots of good Earth Day messaging about to go out here in another, expect, hopefully by the end of this week, we'll be ready. We're just waiting on a good photograph for our Teslas. So that's all I have.
I have something for the family and youth engagement. So I was contacted by the Central Ohio Police Families Association, and they are currently partnering with Blackout Gun Club and We Are Linden, two separate groups. And they are wanting to host a gun safety and anti-violence community event. They are planning to do the first one focusing on the Linden area, and they have asked if like Clinton Township would support this and then open it up to our residents as well. There obviously has been a continued increase in gun violence in our city, and there's been an increase in injuries from the gun violence, not so much the murders, but people just being shot and little kids, and it's just been really bad. But I think that this is an amazing idea. I think that it can start, it never hurts to start young to educate kids and families on gun safety. I will talk to Chief Jones later to see if he would be willing to potentially donate some of the gun locks that we have, I believe, to be at this event. And I believe they're looking to have it at the Linden Rec Center, which is our new rec center down there. And they're more than willing to help out with this event as well.
Is there a date for this event?
We don't have a date and time yet, but right now we're looking at the earliest that we would be able to do would be May. And it would most likely be on a Saturday. But I am reaching out to Linden Rec Center. I sent them an email earlier today asking what their availability is for May on Saturdays.
So I caught that it was one organization was Police Families, and what was the other that you mentioned?
There's another one called Blackout Gun Club. And then the other one is We Are Linden.
And when you say they're asking for township support, is there just our name and voting it among our residents, or?
No, I think it's more, we're in Linden. I mean, we're in North Linden. So it includes us as well, and with our police department and all the responses and the calls that they get with gun things involved. I think it would be a good opportunity to be able to provide the community and our residents with either supplies or education for things they may not know.
Trustee Jesberger, would they be willing to come to our markets and maybe hit the cars as they're driving through with those gun locks, maybe some flyer information?
I actually brought that up with the president of the Central Ohio Police Family Association, and I can't remember if I got a response from her because we kept texting back and forth. But that is something that I can email her about later today and see what she thinks. And then I can still talk to the individuals from the other two organizations as well. But that is a great idea.
Yeah, I would just need, if we can plan at least 3 weeks out, I'll need to get some more supplies for an event that big. I believe we've got probably 150, maybe 200 gun locks at this time. But they also have the gun safety pamphlets I can get, and there's some other things I can put together for that. But yeah, we can help out there.
Awesome, thank you.
The idea of hitting cars while they're in line at the produce market is a fantastic one. I've seen a lot of different organizations come through and do that with our produce market. And I mean, obviously everybody's sitting waiting in line. It's a great opportunity to catch somebody and really engage and have a good conversation. So I think that would be fantastic.
I'm all about the safety idea behind all of this, and I would just, it may not even be necessary, but just toss out the caution that, you know, typically we work with nonprofits or community organizations and not private entities as much. And so I just want to make sure that we're not promoting the gun club or, you know, doing anything that, you know, just because it's new, to just sort of watch out for that. But
Yeah, and they offer these two programs. I know the Blackout Gun Club, they've expressed a lot of interest in wanting to do like mentorship with young kids. So I'm waiting to get more information from them about this, but they are just really trying to push for gun safety and then the anti-violence because of the influx that we've had in our city within the last year, let alone the last month of everything that's happened.
all right. Okay, thanks.
And just for kind of historical information, before COVID hit us, I know that the police chief collaborated well with like the county sheriffs, and we would sometimes do like women's self-defense classes here at 3820 Cleveland Avenue. So all of us are eager for COVID to wrap itself up. And if we're going to start this sort of newer outreach, just to kind of be aware that we have done stuff sort of in this arena before. I personally wish there wasn't any guns out there, but I need to be realistic that kids are getting their hands on guns, and I understand that this is important to have safety out there.
With that, I think we're on to your section, Mr. Huffman.
Thank you. The first item is the township would be participating with SWACO regarding a recycling rate. partnership campaign that would go out to our residents. I think we talked about this a while back with the potential of getting the recycling bins, which I don't think that's going to work at this particular time, but they do have a program where they will work with the citizens and help educate them in regards to recycling rates. The big thing now is that they are now accepting the yogurt tubs, the margarine tubs, and those type of containers. But the main items that we can recycle or should be recycling would be the paper, cardboard, plastic bottles, jugs and tubs, glass bottles and jars, metal cans and cartons. It is also important to note, though, that they should not be wrapped up in a bag of any sort, because usually when they get to the recycling facility at that point, if they're not loose, they unfortunately end up going to a landfill, which kind of negates the whole idea about recycling. So the whole program will help our residents know the proper things to recycle, how to properly recycle them so that things do actually get recycled versus taken to a landfill. The one interesting thing I found on this was that about 2.5 million tons of waste are generated by residents and businesses within Franklin County. That's enough to fill the Ohio State Stadium 4 times. I know everyone's big Buckeye fans usually, and the fact that if you look at the Ohio Stadium and think about that filled with garbage 4 times, that's the amount of waste that regenerate in, I believe it was a year. So hopefully this program will help our residents better understand what can be recycled, what should be recycled, and hopefully we can start having more recyclables versus waste. There is a cost of roughly $1,500 to the township, which would go towards the mailing and printing of a postcard that would go out to all of our residents. So, any questions on that? Yeah, we'll work with SWACO in getting that out. It's about a 4 to 6 week program, so there's something new going out on a regular basis. Our residents should start seeing that here within the next month or so.
So the township is picking up the cost of the mailing for SWACO?
There's multiple mailings that will go out, but we'll be responsible for one mailing in regards to a recycling aspect of items. We are supposed to get all the mailings emailed to the township prior to any mailings directly to the residents. That help answer your question? Or
Yeah, sorry. I was just curious.
the second item is a logo concept. We had a discussion about this a while back as well. The committee met with our consultants. They provided us with some conceptual ideas and colors and fonts. We responded back to them with comments. They did send out additional updates. I believe everyone has received copies of those to review and provide feedback. So based off this next round of comments, they'll perhaps do another revision as we see fit. And then I believe they'll kind of roll it out to our residents and business owners to try to get feedback from them as well. So hopefully we'll be kind of getting close to the end of this process, and hopefully we'll have a finished product that we'll be able to start using. And then last but not least, my monthly report was submitted to the trustees a little late this month because I was in quarantine and then went directly into vacation. So I apologize for the delayedness of that, but it has been submitted. And that's all I have unless there's any questions. Trustee Sarah, you're muted.
Oh, so I thought it might be a good opportunity to just get a moment or two of feedback from the board if we could, if you all have that PDF handy of the logo presentation. I think Mr. Huffman just sent it out pretty recently, so it'd be, and as you scroll, we've found within the team that it's helpful to make sure everybody's talking about the same thing. So at the top of the page, you'll notice it's either called Concept 1 or Concept 2 or so don't get fooled because some of them have different colors, but we thought we might just get some ideas of what's striking you as well today.
Now I'm muted. I think the colors have been kind of narrowed down at least. So at this point, it's more kind of looking at the logos themselves, and maybe like I kind of liked Concept 1 full color, except I thought maybe the sun should be a different color than the trees.
Yeah, that's what I had the same observation, Matt. We're on the same page there. I'm looking for it. I accidentally closed it out. Now I can't find it. I liked Concept 3, but I want to make sure that I am saying that correctly.
Can you see my screen?
Let me go back to, yeah.
This
All
is
right.
3.
That's 3. I feel like the style of the homes fit our township better in that concept with the cape.
Overall, I think our previous discussions internally, we all kind of like the arrows, just because it kind of ties in with the sustainability aspects that we're kind of focusing on now, and just like the renewal of the township, if you will.
Yeah, so we, for everyone who's looking at the shared screen, this is number 1. So the 2 houses with the kind of quad 4 windows, although for some reason there's another variation of it with just doors. And they're just showing us different ways. Sometimes it'll be in one color depending on what we're printing. So number 2, multiple houses in the neighborhood. Number 3, the one Trustee Sword just mentioned with the double cape there.
I think the window in Concept 3 should be blue as well, though, not green. I really like that one.
Anybody else have some strong opinions of preferences that we can take back to the conversation? Here's what it looks like, all blue, Elena.
I like the blue and the green, but the green window is just weird to me.
Yeah.
When you-
It's all same thing down here, that green window, but
I just thought it was more distinct if you looked at straight on from the house when you go with a single color. When you have those houses sitting at an angle, it kind of, at a distance, you think about it on the side of a vehicle or on the side of a building. It doesn't seem as distinct of a house to me as it does from the front.
So you like number 2 less than any, I imagine? This
Right,
one?
I'm with Matt. I like the beginning, number 1.
Number 1?
Yeah.
I like number 1, but I like the doors better than I don't like these little 4 windows. They just sort of bug me.
Yeah, I agree.
Those make me think of the Cape Cod also. When I see those, it makes me think I'm looking at the upper portion of the house.
Yeah. How was it down there? See, these are 4 in number 2.
And just maybe to get back to Trustee Sword's comment with like concept number 3, could the window be the other color blue, or were you thinking the dark blue with the outline of the house? Because there are 2 different color blues.
So, the same as the roof color, just to
So,
keep it
okay.
consistent and not break it up too much. Thinking of it going on the side of a vehicle or a business card or whatnot, I think sticking
So
in the color scheme would be best.
Dark blue here. If we ever really wanted to go full color, we could use light blue in the sky.
Right.
But to keep the same dark blue here.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to get in on this?
I'm with Chief Rayleigh and Matt. I kind of like the first one. Not really sold on the windows looking like that, but the door is okay.
Might be interesting to see what this one looks like with the kind of window that number 3 has, which is just a double pane instead of 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be too much, but even if they could move those 4 squares up and put the top of a door below it, so it would designate it and make it more look like the Cape Cod, which is the majority of the houses we have in our community.
Right.
It's going off what Chief Fraley just said. So the second one of concept 1 with the doors, but maybe a double hung window above versus a 4.
Yeah. And we have the notes on the change for number 3. Can I focus your attention on the fonts for just a minute? Like, for example, here we have all one line and established, spelled out, gives us a more sort of rectangular or landscape format. In other ones, you're going to see more of a square or rounded format when you do 2 lines. Did anybody have a preference for how the font is laid out?
I like the way the font's laid out right there and the one you're on. Just seems less broad. It's more compact.
Let's just scroll back to the other one too for everybody to see. More rectangular when it's all out like that. This one actually makes me think more about like our polo shirts and stuff that it, it could, would have the presence to be. But this one could actually, if you were still thinking about the same amount of space, say over a pocket, the logo would end up much bigger if we went with a 2-line, more compact design. Any other opinions on that? So I think what I would recommend at this point, Matt, maybe when we give them some feedback, is to eliminate design number 2 and show us
Doors and the double hung window.
pardon me?
The door and the double hung window instead.
Yes, and then so that we'll see 1 and 3 again. 3 with the color change. And then maybe they could lay the font out one way with one of them and the other way with the other, and then we can see versus feedback of, especially if they're going to start asking some residents and stuff again, we'll have 2 things for people to respond to.
And then any thoughts on maybe stylizing the trees a little bit more to make sure they're viewed as trees versus like clouds or smoke or something?
No, I think it's pretty apparent that they're trees, to me at least, unless somebody else thinks otherwise. Especially if we're going to do them in green.
Yeah, when they're full color, it's easy. And you only have to worry about it when you're going, all one color, but I'm good with it too.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably enough for another round. We can get them busy.
I'll reach back out to the consultants and with those comments, and we'll take a look at how they come back.
Guys, I cannot get back to WebEx. Okay, are you still seeing a screen or no?
It does say viewing Jane Sierra's application, right? There's nothing there to view,
Yeah, I'm not
just
sure.
a black screen. There we go.
Okay, finally. Sorry about that. Okay, so back
That's
to
all
the agenda, right? Chief Fraley.
Yes, thank you. We have a few items. We'd like to request a resolution to appoint Sarah St. John, Braden Coffin, Mia Lesko, and Anthony Lawson as volunteer firefighters effective upon passing physicals and drug screens.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
And next, we'd like to request a resolution to hire Brendan Radcliffe as a part-time firefighter paramedic at $15.25 per hour effective upon passing a physical and drug screen. In addition, he will be paid from 2111-220-100 and 2281-230-100.
So moved.
I'll second.
Good job on catching those line items, Chief. All right. Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sword, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
And just emailed out the monthly report this morning. I'll read through real quick. Engine 61 responded to 213 incidents, including 8 structure fires and 2 auto fires. Medic 61 responded to 295 incidents. Medic 62 responded to 11. The station car responded to 7 incidents on the west side, and I responded to 13. Under training, the division logged 82 hours of training on various EMS and fire topics, including pediatric medication administration, building construction, pediatric advanced life support, and firefighter maydays and rapid intervention crews. We conducted some in-service training on the new aeroclave decontamination system for use in the medics and throughout the building to be used after we take the contagious emergency runs. We also conducted in-service training on the new battery-operated chainsaw and cutoff saw, which most of you know we switched away from gas-powered power tools in the last few weeks. Removing that hazard from the truck, the saws are working great. Under fire prevention, the fire safety inspector conducted 31 inspections and updated pre-planned books with current information for building contacts and occupancy use. And under our community outreach and partnering agencies, firefighters assisted with the free produce markets on the 12th and 26th. 42 boxes of food were delivered through the CSFP program on the 12th. And working with Franklin County Public Health, we were able to get 7 residents scheduled for vaccines. And firefighters have been assisting Franklin County Public Health by administering vaccinations at the mass vaccination clinic on Morse Road. And this isn't March, but just this morning, as you all know, we're a charter training program through the state here. We had our first ever 3-year renewal / review of our training site, and we passed with flying colors. Inspector Feldman is meticulous with the records he keeps, and that made it happen pretty easily. So.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Jones.
Hi, good afternoon. First, I'd like to request a resolution to hire Grant Holloway as a part-time officer effective April 9th, pending drug test and psychological.
So moved?
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
And second, I'd like to request a resolution to hire Jeremy Wallace, full-time effective April 9th, according to MOU with FOP. Jeremy has 7 years of previous experience working at the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office as a canine handler, and he also spent a couple years at the Circleville Police Department.
So do we need a step and a line item in this motion?
I'm sorry, I just stated the MOU, I guess using MOU language. So it'd be step 3, and it's our payroll line item 2081-100.
Just to clarify, when somebody's getting promoted, we don't have to read their line item. It doesn't hurt to do it, but this fellow's going part-time to full-time. But the rate, the step 3, that's helpful. And the effective date for sure is important.
Sorry, Chief, 2081 dash what 100?
Let me get there.
210? Is it 2081 210?
2081-210-100. I'm sorry.
That's right. Okay. So after all that, let's go ahead and just make the motion to hire Jeremy Wallace at step 3 in accordance with our recent MOU with the FOP, effective April 9th, to be paid from 2081 210 100.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
And last, request resolution to hire Matt Lease as a part-time police officer effective April 9th. And that's at the step rate of $20 per hour for part-time people, by the way. I didn't mention that when we mentioned Grant Holloway.
And the line item then that he'll be paid from is the same as Officer Wallace.
Right. So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yes.
Yes.
So last, I have monthly stats that were emailed out to trustees on Monday. And just kind of an update, uptick, the same kind of thing happening throughout the city we've experienced here in the township with some of the juvenile crime issues. Monday, we had an incident over at Lennox Town Center where we made a quick apprehension of a couple armed juveniles. And training, we will be getting into our training regimen next month. We have done some ongoing updated training over the last month since February. We're moving into firearms and self-defense, and then some mandated training coming out through the Attorney General's office. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Flagg.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to request a purchase order in the amount of $7,800 payable to JMP Masonry and Sealant Incorporated for cleaning and sealing the interior and exterior saw cut construction joints in the Public Works building floor, to be paid from Fund 4101-760-730.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee
So
Sword,
just to let the board know, I just wanted to let the board know very quickly that that's an item that we realized did not get completed with construction, so we are taking that out of the construction fund. Now we're ready for that.
Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So Corey, your number 2 isn't really required anymore. We can just drop it.
Okay,
With our new resolution about the PO requests, you can just proceed there.
okay. I'd just like to let all the residents know that we're planning on installing a picnic table and bench at Chambers Circle Park. We'll be installing a bench at Veterans Park and a bench at Sail Road Playground and outdoor waste baskets at those parks.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Anything you want to mention about your monthly report?
I'd just like to mention that before brush season started this Monday, we watched a video training on our Bandit brush chipper, and we also watched video training on our steel chainsaws.
Great.
That's
Okay.
all that I have.
All right. Thank you. We are down to appreciations. Anyone?
I just want to put an appreciation out there for all of our wonderful volunteers that help us repeatedly with our free produce market. Bessa has been more than amazing to us. I really want everybody to know how much of an impact they make here in the community, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. So if we could get that in the notes there and maybe hyperlink Bessa as well, in case anybody in the community would like a great resource on where and when to volunteer. They're an amazing, amazing team of people.
Thank you. Not seeing anything else. How about other items today? All right, I think we are ready for, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you
ya.
soon.